All right. Hey guys, welcome to The Trade, episode 47. Today we were going to talk about some holiday craziness, and we're also going to talk a little bit about politics because let's face it, currently, at least in the United States, this is going to affect everybody. I'm your host, Melanie. I do my comics on ornamentalcomic.com, and I'll be relaunching it on the 4th. So just a couple days after this episode goes up, you can go and check out the latest comics to be coming out from my creative brain. With me today is Patrick McEwen. He does the comic Devil and Mr. Gandhi at devilandgandhi.com. He also has his own press on inkpuddle.com. Thank you for joining me, Patrick.
Nice to see you again, Melanie. This is my third appearance on The Trade, so thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
I appreciate it. I love talking to other creators about creating, about, their work process, including the boring business stuff. And we even bump into things like, for instance, politics this episode, because it affects everybody. We've just, the beginning of this month here, November 8th, we voted, and it's currently still up in the air a little bit because they're doing a recount in a couple of places, things like that. But we currently have a new Cheeto-in-Chief coming in.
Wah, wah.
And many of us, I know, at least in the creative art fields, did not vote for him. There are a few. I know there's always a minority. But many of us actually have cooler heads and actually know to vote for people that have some experience in politics and working with the public.
I feel like comic creators and creative people in general are more forward-thinking people rather than backward-thinking people. And I don't mean like you're backwards, but like, remember back in the 50s when life was perfect? It's like, no, that's actually when black people couldn't ride buses, if you recall. And that's when women were told their place was in the kitchen back home, barefoot and pregnant. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was talking with my grandmother. Guys, for anybody that doesn't know, my grandma Chitwood is 97 years old. She has lived through the Great Depression all the way till now. She's seen this shit. She remembers when she did not have a voice, and now she does. And yeah, nobody is happy right now. Nobody. Literally, this past vote, feels like, now it's just a feeling right now, nothing has been implemented yet, but it feels like this is setting everybody back at least 50 years. And currently from our upcoming dumpster fire that has a bad toupee, he is trying to enact several things that will set us all back, period. He's trying to enact a Muslim registry. No. That's illegal. Didn't you learn from the Japanese internment camps? And shit like that?
Well, they're actually...
dear.
His camp is saying that's a precedent to follow. And, it's been very... nice seeing the reaction of free thinkers like George Takei, who have basically said, no, it was illegal back then when they did the Japanese, and it's equally as illegal now because it's just not right. It's not American. It's not legal. And that's all you have.
Well, our country is a giant melting pot. We're a country full of completely different faiths, completely different cultures, and we all live together in one big society, and we're trying to make it work. And that's what the democratic experiment is all about, because this is an experiment. So far, we've definitely had some stumbling blocks. We've all had to learn and grow. our society as a whole. And that's okay. I mean, you definitely expect those constant movement and growing pains. And I think of this as a growing pain moment. Baby boomers on have had it a little easier than previous generations. And, and it's been growing forward since then. And this shows us there is still a chunk of people that don't seem to understand that we need to grow, that we need to change, that it's okay to change. You do not have to be somebody else's religion, but you have to accept that they're going to share space in this world next to you. They're going to have a different culture than you. Doesn't mean you can't, appreciate it and give them their space to do whatever they're going to do, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. Now, I do agree, stepping up if you see something wrong. Bullying. Doesn't matter what they're bullying them about. I constantly get bullied for being a woman. All the time. I am an outspoken, upstanding feminist. And I will constantly stand.
Do you have a feminist agenda, Melanie?
I do. I believe in equality. God damn it. Because that's all feminism is equality. Just, wanting that equal footing. And, I don't know why, but so many people don't think that's right. And I'm trying to expand my mind to understand that point of view, but that does not mean I accept that point of view. They can think that way. That is their mind. They are welcome to it. That does not mean I am going to follow what you think. And I don't expect anybody else to follow what I think either, because we're all individuals, we're all human beings, and we're going to make our own choices. We're influenced by different things around us, our upbringings, our own cultures that we're in and surrounded by. But at the same time, I guess I'm too much of an open person. I allow people to be themselves, even if they're going to be a giant douche canoe going up shit river without a pedal. Go ahead and do that, dude. I'm just going to watch you and wave from the beach.
Speaking of waving from the beach, I have up on the screen here the Chelsea Kane incident from earlier, not too long ago. It's something that you wanted to bring up and talk about.
Yes. Give it a minute here. Your connection timed out a little bit. I'm just seeing your icon just a second.
Oh.
Give it a minute. It usually kicks over. It's not sharing your screen.
Oh boy. That's no good.
Okay. No.
How about... Well, I tried my best.
Okay. Let me try to do it. Okay, guys. A bunch of you, and I'll share the links down in the doobly-doo if anybody wants to read up on this. Chelsea Kane is the writer for Mockingbird for Marvel. And earlier, in October there, Marvel announced they're going ahead and canceling Mockingbird. It just didn't get a very large following. That's fine. These things happen. Comics industry, some boom, some fizzle, and it happens. But, she was being very polite, and she was on Twitter at the time and was thanking everybody for supporting the comic series, thanking all the teams that she had worked with, other artists, writers, inkers, etc. And one of the last comic issues has a big picture on the main cover of Mockingbird standing there wearing a t-shirt, big long t-shirt, says, "Ask me about my feminist agenda." So, Miss Kane got well, she says she didn't get deluded, but she did get several hateful, hurtful, misogynistic, sexist, just harassment on Twitter. And she just kind of hit her done point with it and went ahead and deactivated her account. Since then, the story did blow up, and several creators completely understand that. Some of us, very much females, understand the constant harassment of a small percentage of the comics fandom being misogynistic assholes. I mean, there's no way around it. They were just straight up harassing her for the cover, for, glad that Mockingbird was getting canceled because she's quote unquote a shitty writer, which she's not. She's a very good writer. Thank you very much, motherfuckers. But, sometimes some business doesn't work out. Doesn't mean it's because she was a feminist or because Mockingbird was too girly. I mean, I saw some of these, captioned tweets from some of these idiots and some other people that were trying to defend Chelsea, but they were saying that feminism was done. With our current soon-to-be Cheeto-in-chief, no. This is just proving once again that feminism is certainly not done. And maybe it's just the word feminist that sets a lot of people off. I don't know why. Several people have become associated with the propaganda surrounding the word feminism that was used through the 70s and 80s, and even the early part of the 90s, claiming that feminism was this bra burning, which never actually happened, bullshit, that women didn't want to shave their legs and wanted to be anti-man, lesbian. I mean, just this round robin of crap. That's not what feminism is about. Only thing feminism is about is equality and being treated like a person. That's it. We, as women, are just trying to be out there, be creators, be people. We don't want to be harassed because we happen to be born with a different set of sexual organs. That's it.
The weird thing is, too, I mean, I can think of so many, women creative people that have just been killing it for decades. I mean, I'm currently rereading all of the Earthsea novels by Ursula K. Le Guin, and they're awesome. And, I find them more entertaining. As much as I love the Tolkien and the C.S. Lewis Narnia, there's something about the Earthsea books that are just miles ahead in terms of adult storytelling. And it's not overly complex storytelling, but it's just rock solid storytelling. And you could come up a list of authors, writers of short stories, Patricia Highsmith, who is really just starting to get the recognition she deserves now. So you can think of female short story writers, novelists, artists, every creative field imaginable. But there's this weird corner of comic book fandom that holds on to some of these concepts of, this is still an all-boys club. Boys are better than girls. We know how to write comics. Don't tell us anything otherwise. And it's pretty sad, I mean, because if you talk to people and get a good sense of well, what did you read? What are you reading now? What's good? Who are the award winners? Yeah, women show up on those lists. It's there's no other way to put it other than women writers are just as good as men writers. And what's the point? Do we have to go back to, when the Bronte sisters were publishing books under a man's name because they knew they wouldn't be taken seriously if they knew that it was a woman writing a novel? Like, what would it would blow people's minds if there was like one of their favorite comic book writers came out and was like, oh, this is just a pseudonym. Like, I'm not a man. You know what I mean? Like, if someone named like Rex Steele or something like that turned out to be like a woman comic book writer, like it would blow the heads away of certain fanboys, where it's like, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you enjoyed the story. It doesn't matter if it's a man or woman. And that's what
Exactly.
you're looking for is equality, approach the story, approach the artwork with the same open-mindedness, and why should you even care?
Well, that's exactly it. I don't understand why people care the gender of the artist or the writer or whoever, the creator. Excuse me. And I don't understand why that actually matters. Now, it gives you a certain perspective maybe they're coming from, but that's about it, I really don't understand this whole backlash against female creators of any sort. And I never have. I've railed against this type of attitude ever since I was little. I even had to break my own father of some of these ideals. I'm the oldest out of all my siblings, and I wanted to start doing martial arts when I was in high school, because I was getting bullied and it was just slowly getting worse, and it was easier to go ahead and learn how to defend myself just in case if it escalated to that point. And at first, my father railed against it. Oh, that's not what girls do. In high school and up till now, I started developing as a person, and physically, I am a large woman. I am tall. I am heavy. I have a lot of muscle and weight because guess what? I was raised on a farm. I bucked bales. I drove the cows by foot, across 80 acres. I hauled aluminum irrigation pipe over my shoulders. I can lift on average 200 pounds. Not many people can do that.
I worked at a mall bookstore to put things into perspective. I bucked no bale, Melanie. I've never bucked a bale. Can I admit that on this podcast?
Oh my. But, I'm just a large, intimidating person, especially if you get to know me, in person, in public. And a lot of people get intimidated by me. At least just, even though they don't know me, they'll approach me. And I found a lot of people are intimidated just because I'm a tall, large woman. And I live in New Mexico, which is predominantly Hispanic and Native American, both of which are very male-centric cultures. And then my father, Mr. Redneck, on top of that, I had to rail against a lot of these ideals. I'm supposed to be this submissive female, that I'm supposed to be feminine, that I'm not supposed to raise my hand or my voice. Oh no. That's not the type of person I am.
Well, wait till Mr. Cheeto gets in office. He's going to put you in your place, Melanie.
Apparently, I'm supposed to be put in my place and somehow magically have a husband by then and 4.5 children or whatever, even though none of that actually works now. So, okay.
Well, we were talking earlier about how, there's going to be a lot of fights coming up with this reprehensible person that'll be taking office, and it will affect not just men and women getting along together and treating each other equally and with respect, but also the whole creative community will be facing challenges over the next 4 years. And I was telling you earlier that the day after the election, I gave money to the ACLU, and I'm happy to say that today My card arrived. I am a proud card-carrying member of the ACLU. And I'm also proud to hold it side by side with my Comic Book Legal Defense Fund membership card, because, you know, free speech is going to be endangered in the future. And whether it's a creative person who wants to criticize the administration, whether it's Democrat or Republic, whether it's progressive or conservative, it doesn't matter. You need to have the right to express yourself, freedom of speech, criticize anyone in power. You know, as long as you're not yelling fire in a crowded theater or threatening someone physically, it should be covered under free speech. And you know, the ACLU has basically said we have a lot of fights ahead of us, because most of the promises that he made during the campaign are basically unconstitutional. And if you get a chance to go to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund website, you'll get a chance to see all of their like ongoing cases where people, and it could just be a teeny tiny school library, but people are saying, well, I have the religious right to take this book out of the library because I find it offensive because of my personally held beliefs. It's like, well, guess what? We have this thing called freedom of speech, and we should be encouraging constructive dialogue between people with differences. And so if anything comes out of this, I would encourage people again to contact the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund and the ACLU. Any bit of money can help them fight the fights that you may not be able to you know, be there in person for. The other thing I brought, this is my show and tell. This is a book, okay? It's called On the Spot Drawing. 12 famous illustrators describe their materials and working methods on location. Nothing particularly crazy interesting about it, but on the inside there's an inscription that says, "To Will, with respect, admiration, and affection," signed Nick Meglin, and that's the author. And on the next page you see that the Will he was talking to is Will Eisner. And this was a book that I bought through eBay, and it benefited the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. So, you know,
Wow.
that particular organization always has really cool stuff on eBay that they auction off, and you can get something really cool and also help them defend comic creators, authors, artists that might be getting harassed because they're a woman or because they're a person of color. So I think we're entering an age now where I think comic creators and creative peoples in general need to kind of band together for the common good and for the common protection.
Yes, very much so. Well, like the one of the ways I help the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund myself, and I've mentioned this in previous podcasts, is Amazon. If you go to smile.amazon.com, I know just about everybody buys at least one or two things from Amazon pretty regularly, and you can set it up a day. Some people. I've got it set up myself where a small percentage of the funds from my purchases go to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. They're the charity that I donate to on a regular basis through Amazon. And I need to renew my Comic Book Legal Defense Fund membership myself. I had to let it flux because of poor finances, but my finances are finally getting caught back up now myself, so time to renew my memberships. And I also donate regularly to Planned Parenthood because I do think that they, as a medical clinic, help everybody. They don't just help women, guys. Plenty of men I know go to them for regular checkups too. It is a health clinic, regardless of what type of services they're giving people. Regardless if you agree with those services or not. They're a health clinic. They
I
help
feel
people,
like
especially in lower income areas.
I feel like people on the left side of the aisle did and have done a really bad job of explaining why Planned Parenthood is necessary and crucial. Like every once in a while, someone says, well, they do like cancer screenings too, but it's like lost in the yelling. And, you know,
Yeah.
the liberals, the Democrats have done a horrible job of putting on paper saying, this is why we cannot defund Planned Parenthood. This is why you should be donating to it, which is kind of sad that they can't do that. Now, today is, I know we might do some shilling at the end of the episode, but today is Cyber Monday, so people have deals. But tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, is it not? Isn't that what it's called? Day after Cyber
Yes.
Monday? So you can
Yes.
donate your time and energy, or you can donate some money to Planned Parenthood, to the, what's the other one? The Southern...
Southern Poverty Center.
Yes. Basically give some money to organizations that will help everybody in the long run. I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, especially in this time of divide, it is time to come together. You know, I have taken most of this past month and kind of had to stew after our election results. Allow myself something of almost a mourning, you know. I read several articles on people being very upset about the election results. And now I've heard several people on other side of the aisle saying, well, suck it up. We did this with Obama, blah, blah, blah. And I tried pointing out the fact that you did the same thing when Obama won twice.
That's right.
You were upset, you were angry, you posted about this. You're still posting about this. You make fun of Obama all the time. And that's fine. I completely support you making fun of Obama. Go for it. Have fun. That's okay. I don't agree with everything he's done either. I don't agree with everything that anybody's done. Because they're human too. You know, they're going to make their own choices. Some of them I do not think are very good. You know, drone strikes. Fuck you. But, you know, there's a difference between people being upset and people being a fucking jerk. You know, people are allowed to be upset, then they're allowed to do something. I allowed myself most of this month to be upset, and now I'm turning around and doing something. I'm trying to donate what time I've got, if I've got any, or what little extra cash I can scrape together around the holidays to donate. I usually make most of my holiday gifts, so a lot of times all I'm really buying is raw supplies for my holidays. So I don't spend as much money as a lot of people on the holidays. And because I don't think that's what it's about. Now, I try to at least give, like, for instance, the kids in my family books. You know, that's one of the few things that they know me for, is giving books and comic books to the kids. Plus, I give them things to read and think about, and drawing, you know, and art supplies, and I make them up a little package. But I also make stuff, or give them the raw materials for them to make their own stuff.
Awesome.
I think that's a better use of their time and their minds than a lot of other things. And so I'll have some extra money. And so I'm going to use that to donate to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, definitely, and to Planned Parenthood. But that's me.
I've seen some people doing, like, commissions and having sales through their digital stores too, where they're like, hey, everything that I make today is going to the Southern Poverty Center or Planned Parenthood or this or that, which I think is pretty great.
Yes. Several people have been donating at least a portion, if not all their sales, particular days, or going on eBay and auctioning off a really nice piece of art they've got made and donating all those funds to said charity or said legal defense fund and whatnot. And that is definitely a worthwhile cause. I think as a whole, us creative people are going to have a lot of things to be making over the next 4 years. I see myself already making protest art. I don't know about anybody else, but I've already been making little editorial cartoons, t-shirt designs, stuff like that. And I'm going to be releasing those very shortly myself. I believe that having an active mind, an active dissent, and keeping a watchful eye on our current legislators are part of our democracy. We've had it pretty easy for the past 30 years on average. And we've let a lot of things cruise, a lot of things we shouldn't have as a group. And I think more and more people are having to relearn that history lesson that we have to be active citizens in a democracy. Otherwise, it hurts us all. And I don't know about you, but I have already made myself a map for this year. Creative things I wanted to do. And then I sat down and I saw I had a little extra time here and there. And that's when I'm going to start contacting my local and state government. Because the biggest way you can make an impact right now is on the local level.
Definitely.
So start figuring out who is in your local government, in your city, in your county, in your state. Go ahead and figure out who those people are. Are they good people? Are they actually doing a service to your city, county, state? Or do we need to start calling them out on their bullshit?
Well, and you can look at it from a positive perspective too, in that if you have a city council in a big city, or if you have a state representative, and you can get the state in which you live in to pass a bill into law that will protect citizens' rights without the threat of federal, the federal boogeyman of coming to take it away. Look, get a state law that protects citizens' rights and promote that as a model for other states to adopt. You know what I mean? Like, I fully believe that we should all be in the long haul for fighting against some of the things that the Cheeto in Chief will be doing. But I think also you need to take it as an opportunity to get some good laws on the books as well. Laws that provide rights, laws that provide protections, because I think that's one thing that helps too when you do local, as you're saying, go local, go municipality, county, state, you know what I mean? When you get things passed on a state level, it's very tough for a federal organization to take away that right, because states' rights are still some strength in them. You know what I mean? So if you try to take away that right, they'll say, well, that's unconstitutional according to our state's constitution, let alone the federal constitution, the national constitution. So I mean, yes, be in it for the fight, call people out as you're saying, but also don't be afraid to get in the mix in terms of passing some good legislation as well.
Yeah, I think this is now a good time to start really teaching our younger generations that are coming up now to be more active. That it's time to step up. I know so many young people that just did not understand even our election, this past election. I had to sit down with 18, 19-year-olds because they didn't understand any of it. which tells me exactly how bad our public education system is. And so I went over with at least just some basic points. You can hit Google. You can bring up some basic history points off of university websites, you know, off of library websites, and go over it with them. And you wouldn't believe how many people with just a little bit of basic education and willingness to listen and understand, how many people's minds I changed. Now, that was a small handful of people, but then they know, and they usually tell other people, and that usually grows and grows.
But I think as visual creators, we have an opportunity to take some of these concepts and make them more digestible for young people, or people that are not going to sit down and read their state constitution and a 1,000-page bill that comes up at Congress. There are congressmen and senators that don't even read the bills that they're voting on, okay? But as visual creators, we can do cartoons that criticize, but we can also kind of do explanatory illustrations and comics that can kind of give visually centered people and or younger people a way to be like, oh, this is why it's important that I get out and vote. This is why it's important that I stand up for my fellow citizens' rights. So I think, like I said, I'm looking at it, kind of the Chinese character of crisis also means opportunity. I think we need to look at it as an opportunity as well.
Yes, definitely. As much negativity as this is bringing now, and he's not even in office yet, it's evolving, and it looks like it's going to be even worse of a fight. And that's why I keep trying to encourage people, you know what? Remember this moment. Write it down. Take a little video of yourself. Take a photo. Draw a drawing, whatever. Remember your vitriol right now and how angry it made you that people's rights were going to be taken away. Remember that, because when it gets boring, when you're going through that archaic knowledge in those bills. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm creating, a lot of times when I'm drawing or painting. And one of them is a very good skeptic, bureaucratic one. It's called Skeptocrat. And they were talking, and it's very adult, very vulgar, so if anybody looks it up, I warn you, they use some of the foulest language, and I love them all to pieces. And but they were making very good points, and they quoted somebody, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll put it down in the doobly-doo with a link to Skeptocrat for anybody that wants to check it out. They're atheist, so they do talk from what I like to call a more neutral perspective, because they're not talking with any type of religious bias in mind. And but they talked about the fact that politics are the boring stuff that happens so that we don't go to war.
Definitely.
Politics are boring. Everybody agrees that. It's an archaic set of rules with ostentatious names, as the guys put it in the Skeptocrat. And, that is very correct. It is very boring. It glazes the eyes and the brain, and it makes you drool a little. But if you know how to speak legalese, which, guess what? I learned about contracts when I was 14. I learned how to read through all that legalese because I taught myself. I took a dictionary, and I sat down and I went through some contracts because I had somebody trying to hire me at the time to do some artwork, and I realized that they were basically going to rip me off and sign me into slavery. No, thank you. And because I was smart enough to sit there with a fucking dictionary and take the time to read through it, I didn't get signed in or suckered into a bunch of bullshit. And it's the same thing with bills in our legislature, both local and state, and as well as federal. There is so much legal mumbo jumbo. Yes, a lot of that can be boiled out. And you know what? Maybe that's part of what we need to do with our system, is try to boil out a little bit of that legalese. So that way it's a little easier for everybody to digest, including our legislators and people higher up in the government. But in the meantime, us creators have an opportunity here, like you said, to help people understand what is going on. So let's illustrate it. Let's pictorially show everybody what is going on and why.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I am going to see about my local city government. I know they've got some seats opening up, and I've had several people try to nominate me into taking a seat.
Wow. There you go.
I'm not that civically minded, but I might have to become. Because
on what is the political body that it would be a seat for?
It's our city council.
Oh, Councilwoman Chitwood? That has a nice ring to it.
Well, there are several. There's always several different committees in even your local cities. There's almost always something opening up within a year to 2 years. Everybody needs to start getting active. If you see something wrong, not just say something. Now's the time to do something.
Do something.
Do something. Now's the time to do. You know, it's scary. And if you're scared, I am scared. But that also pisses me the fuck off. Why am I scared? Why are you treating me like shit? It's time to do something. It's time to step up. It's time to be the bigger person. It's time to put your foot forward. Stand up to bullying if you see bullying going on. Everybody has some type of digital device that now records. Record it. Give people backup. Now, if you see somebody being aggressive to somebody else, step over. Step next to the person being aggressed to. Stand next to them. Start talking to them. Ignore the aggressor. The aggressor loses steam. This is a lovely, lovely tactic I learned very early on. I always had friends getting bullied by others, and I found a lot of times to distract the bully because they're focusing on that one person, and maybe it's one aspect about that person. They're trying to fat shame them. They're trying to, you know, call them the weirdo out of everybody. Everybody's weird, guys. We're all weird. Get used to it. So I would step up to said being aggressed victim and start talking to them. How's your day? My name is Melanie. I haven't seen you around before. Nice to meet you. Completely ignoring the bully. And they'll scream and they'll holler, but you know what? It's hot air. And that hot air loses pressure very, very quickly. And after you have made certain that that scene has diminished, you can walk that victim away. And you do not have to be an aggressor back.
Exactly.
But there are certain circumstances where sometimes if a hand is being raised, help to block the swing.
Or you get your corrugated piece of farm trailer and you hit the person over the head.
Well, you know, that's an extreme circumstance, but yes.
You buck a bale right on top of that guy.
I would. Oh man, you know, it's hard. It's gonna be hard, guys. It's really gonna be difficult now. We were having it pretty good. I mean, it's been getting a little aggressive as time has gone on, but I honestly thought overall as a country we were doing pretty good. We were having aggressive incidents, but you're always going to have different spats in large society. But I thought we were really doing better. This election has shown that there's still a lot of people that really need to learn what compassion and empathy are.
And we need to educate them.
It is time to educate. It is time to step up.
We'll learn them. We'll learn them real good.
So the only thing we could do is try to show compassion, try to show education, try to show respect, but still be willing to step up and step in between an aggressor and their victim. And I will do that every time. I've had several people tell me I shouldn't, that's not your fight, that you don't know what's going on. The only thing I need to know is somebody's being hurt, and I need to go ahead and put myself between them to stop it and to de-escalate. Now, also having a black belt helps, but this is another reason why I've tried to advocate to a lot of people to go ahead and learn some self-defense, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in
but
case.
Also, there are extreme circumstances where you're going to have to defend yourself physically.
And remember, never pick a fight with Councilwoman Chitwood. That's all I'm gonna say. You better hope that she de-escalates the situation, because if not, you're in trouble.
You know, I don't know if I'll take that position, but I'll look into it at least. You know, I know several people that would do very good in that position, but my town, to put it politely, is a very red town. And I am not within the red category. Now, some of my ideals and interests definitely are more conservative than liberal, but I am a firm believer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's where some of my conservative ideals apply.
Sure.
But, you know, there are quite a few things we could probably change just slightly. You don't have to completely take it apart and put something all brand new in there. Sometimes you just need to take a few key components out and it'll actually function pretty smoothly. But I think it's time for us in the creative community to step up. It's time to be more empathetic, and it's time to educate. And we have the tools to do so.
That's right. I have a tool somewhere. I like the uni double-sided brush pen. It's one
Very
of my
nice.
favorite tools.
One of my main creative tools is a plain old Bic. This will get you started on any type of paper.
I hear they have a lady Bic made exclusively for women. You should look into that.
Yeah, that's not good. I got given some of those. I actually got a package of those given to me, and they were actually quite terrible pens.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're quite awful. I threw them in the garbage. They were bad.
And I would say this, too. We need, just like the Pantone, we need to stand up for people in all of these colors.
Hells yeah.
There you go. This is who you need to stand up for.
You know, I've had several people tell me that I come from a very privileged position because of my skin tone, my hair color. I'm mixed race. I keep trying to remind people that I'm actually mixed race. I just happen to get the lucky roll of the die that gave me the paler complexion because it's a dominant trait in our genome. It's I didn't get to choose that. I've got several cousins that are black. I've got several cousins that are Native American. One of my aunts went and did that genetic test to find out, you know, to trace your at least your genetic line.
Mm-hmm.
We're 14% Jewish.
There you go.
Didn't know that. Yes. you know, I'm just like, okay, well then, you know, that's another one to add to the pot, you know.
Exactly.
No, nobody. I don't know of anybody that's 100% anything.
No.
We're all everything. We're just in different quantities. That's it. That's all. I never understood distinguishing people by skin color and hair color, or gender, or non-gender, or whatever. That's silly. Are they good at their job? Yes. No. Okay. If no, maybe help them out. Do they need help? Do they need maybe some education? Magic. All right. So let's move on. I'm done. I got a little bit off my chest, a little verklempt. All right. So holidays, guys. So the reason why I put this down as the survival guide for the holidays, being that we just got done with getting nominated the Cheeto in Chief coming up here. I know a lot of people that are having to have survived the Thanksgiving holiday and are now coming up on the Christmas holiday here in a couple more weeks. And there's more survival to be done. And one of the easier ways to do that, I found, is to politely have everybody before, you know, as people are walking in the door, politely tell them no politics.
That's right.
You know?
Only comics.
You know, talk about comics, talk about books, talk about movies. I mean, there's plenty of other things you can talk and relate with your family and friends about that's not going to cause fistfights and a big uproar and anger and tears. This time of year, you know, everybody's pretty upset by both what's happened. 2016 is a giant pile of shit. We've lost a lot of artists this year. A lot of great people have passed on, and we've just had pretty much a shitting on of our democracy, and all of that's just giving a lot of people anxiety, fear, a sour belly overall. So at least during the holidays that you're going to be spending with other people, have everybody agree, no politics, just that day. You know? You got the rest of the year to talk about it, next year and whatnot. You know, there are plenty of other times to be talking about it, debating it, yelling and screaming at each other about it. Leave it at the door, at least during your visits, you know? I know you might not agree with your gay cousin or your, you know, your goth nephew or anybody.
Your Nazi granduncle.
Yes, very much so.
Klaus.
Oh, God.
Klaus.
But try to go ahead and ask everybody to leave it at the door.
Look for the positive.
Okay? Yeah, look for the positive. You know, hey, it's good to see you. I only see you once or twice a year. How you been?
And
you holding on okay?
Together, creative. Get in the kitchen. Help your relative make something for the meal. Get out your sketch pad. Bring markers, crayons, paper, pencils, and help the kids in your family create some kind of art project. Instead of talking politics, do something creative.
Exactly. You know, spend the time with people. Turn the television off.
That's right. Well, you know how I get through the holidays, Melanie? I read my copy of Holidays Meets the Devil and Mr. Gandhi. It's the indie comic crossover you never knew you wanted. That's right. Holidays Meets the Devil and Mr. Gandhi. Available at inkpuddle.com.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'll have to get my copy ordered here. But guys, seriously though, go hit the dollar store. I love hitting the dollar store during the holidays. You can get the cheap.
You mean
No,
physical
no.
dollar.
Yeah.
What do you
But you know, I hit the Dollar Tree. I got my local Dollar Tree, and so everything in there's $1. So you can go buy 4 or 5 pads of the cheap newsprint, and you know, 1 or 2 packages of markers. You know, get the water soluble ones, so that way if anything else gets marked on, they'll wash off. And you know, sit down and have some fun time with the kids. Do charades. Play games, you know.
Puppets. You could probably
Actually,
get things at the dollar store to make puppets.
heck yeah, you know, do a bunch of creative stuff with everybody, you know. Spend the actual time with people. Go ahead and at least for a day or 2 or even a week, depending upon how long you're visiting, forget about the bullshit for a little while. It's time to go ahead. It's not going to go away. Yes, it's going to be on the back burner. Just leave it there. It's not going to hurt anything to sit back there for a little while. But just go ahead. Go enjoy the time that you can. And then when your racist uncle starts in on them damn niggers, pull out your headphones, put them on your head, and crank Marilyn Manson up to 11.
There you go.
Because that's, I don't know about anybody else, but I always carry headphones and at least 1 device with extra batteries with me during the holidays. Because most of the time you can get everybody to agree for at least a few hours to chill out, to cool off, to hang out, to actually be people around you. And yes, you don't have to agree with each other, but that's okay. And you know what? Some of you out there that don't have a family to go to, have a friend holiday.
There you go.
There's always yes.
Friendsgiving.
Well, like in college, when I was going to college.
Hanukkah. Fronica.
Excuse me. No, during the holidays, especially when I was in college, I couldn't really afford to go back and forth and go see family and friends because I was at least 8-hour drive away from everybody. And being a poor college student, I couldn't always afford to go back and forth on traveling. And so I made a bunch of friends in my local town there, and we would always have holidays together. We always had a friend Thanksgiving where everybody brought something, and a friend Christmas where everybody brought something. And you don't even have to have it on the day of the holiday, you know. Maybe you want to have that by yourself, or maybe you want to have that with just a single significant other or somebody, you know, or just make it a Netflix day.
And you know, Melanie, if you're looking for something to bring to your friend's holiday, you can get the Devlin Mr. Gandhi issues 1 and 2 available at devlingandhi.com.
Oh my! I have them both.
You said this was going to be the shilling episode, so I'm
yeah, it is time to shill. And yes, guys, once again, I did want to reiterate, I am relaunching my comics. I had to put them on a hiatus. I didn't plan on it. It just happened. My finances took a turn for the worst. And unfortunately, because I am comics are not my full-time job yet. I have a day job, and so I had to go get a new day job and get reestablished there. And because of that, my comics had to be set aside for a little bit. I'm relaunching on the 4th, and I will also have merchandise in my Etsy store. So everything's going to be going up, and you will just have to see what all goodies I have available. So you guys check it out on the 4th. I will be tweeting about it. I will be Facebooking it, all the social medias. I'm on Instagram as well under Sweetly Dark Arts. So if anybody wants to check it out, please Google. But, you know, maybe you can use a little bit that. Go to the Google. Google is your friend. What would we do without Google now? Probably still be in the Dark Ages.
Probably.
Or be stuck with Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves? Oh, God. Yeah, it's going back a way.
Yep. I'm that old. I remember it.
Well, I know if you were to ask Jeeves, he would tell you to pick up a copy of the Ink Puddle Sampler, available at inkpuddle.com.
Very cool.
I think you have one of those, too.
Yes, I do.
All right.
Right back there.
To get back to the whole Liberty thing again, I don't have one of their cards, so I have my Comic Book Legal Defense Club Fund card. I've got my ACLU card, but I also donated this holiday season, after the election, of course, to CRNI, which is Cartoonists Rights Network International. And it's where I go for news and updates about, the other cartoonists and comic creators in other countries that are facing civil rights challenges. So there's a Turkish cartoonist that's been jailed. There's cartoonists that are basically held captive and not let out of certain countries. I think yes, we want to start local. Yes, we want to protect American citizens, but it also helps to be informed about international issues regarding civil rights, free speech. I mean, not every country has what we have, a Bill of Rights that ensures us freedom of speech. So it's important to keep in touch and stay apprised of international incidents regarding people persecuting cartoonists, persecuting comic creators, who are basically just trying to illustrate a criticism of an unjust system in their eyes. So
the case with Charlie Hebdo, that was terrible, and that was purely from criticism,
Yep.
And they have every right to critique and criticize. They're in France, and they have a very good Bill of Rights there. And the terrorists didn't agree. And you know what? None of us should bow to that shit. None of us. What happened was terrible, and we need to help work to prevent that the best we can, small or large.
That's right. And it starts here at home, too, making sure that not just professional cartoonists and comic creators, but anyone that wants to protest should have the right to say what's on their mind, express their discontent with the system, and that could be in words, shouting on a street corner, or it could be an op-ed piece in a newspaper, or it could be a drawing, it could be a cartoon, it could be a comic strip, could be digital, could be on paper, but
could be a painting, it could be a t-shirt design, it could be anything. Honestly, anything. It's an expression of discontent, and we're allowed to, at least in our country here, we have the First Amendment right to freedom of expression. Now, we're not allowed to libel or slander people.
So none of that.
Yeah, none of that. But public figures actually don't apply to that. I don't know if you knew that. One of the many classes I took was law classes, and in college, and this is why I have a degree in journalism, everybody, that I can't use. Yay. Nah, it's all right. But I took a lot of law classes about libel and slander, just to learn what is and what isn't, and making a critical assessment of a public official or even a celebrity is actually allowed, because they are a publicly recognized face. Now, if you did that to your anonymous neighbor down the street, No, they actually are protected from libel and slander in both written, digital, published works. But you could always mention that you have a neighbor and not name neighbor, but, you know, oh, well, I have a neighbor and he's a racist fuckhead. You can still say that. You can still do that. Go for it.
Could I say?
Just don't name them.
Could I say that Trump assassinated Archduke Ferdinand and started World War I? Could I say that?
Yes. Yes, you could.
Well, okay. I'll think about saying that then sometime.
Sometime. Yeah, sometime. Yes. Do you like my moniker of Cheeto in Chief?
I do. I like it.
I've heard so many variations off of that dumpster fire's name that I'm just loving every minute of every one. Oh man, I know several that I've heard that are just pure gold that I think we all need to illustrate. More for catharsis than anything, but still, it does my little revenge-filled heart some glee. Especially since he has such a problem with our media.
That's right.
Now, I agree with a lot of people that our media, depending upon the channel, for instance, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, do have quite a few bias, and unfortunately those biased are because of who owns them. Used to, once upon a time, they were owned by smaller corporations, businesses, business owners. And over the past about 30 years, they've slowly been bought up and eaten up, where I believe it's 6 main conglomerates right now that own most of the media, most of the major media.
Right.
And so that makes it a big problem overall if you're trying to keep your coverage non-biased or as unbiased as possible. You can't completely be non-biased. There's no way around that. We're human. That is going to come out in your writing and in your reporting to at least some small degree. But, especially in my journalism courses when I was taking them, they were talking about how you have to try to keep your personal bias out of your reporting as much as possible. And again, some of it is going to be reflected, and that's fine. But try to keep it to the minimum. What you want to relay is the facts. And I think our current larger media has forgotten that. It really has. And so I think our system needs to revamp itself. But in the meantime, there are a lot of independent media now, especially with newer technology, the internet. You can get more than one point of view. It's magic. Look it around. Hi, internet.
I'm on TV.
Yeah. But, when people claim that the media is lying altogether, take that with a grain of salt. Instead, maybe hear that news story from more than one source, Do a little research. If that story interests you, all right, well, go check out maybe a foreign source, somebody completely outside the country. See what they're saying about that same story. And a lot of times what I like to do is take at least 3 or 4 sources. See where their stories connect and where they don't. Those connection points are usually your main key points, the main grains of truth. The rest of it needs to be.
That's what you based your scathing cartoon on, are those nuggets of truth.
Exactly. You try to get as much unbiased as you can, because even as cartoonists, technically, we're also journalists in many ways. We're journaling the world around us. So we need to all take at least some unbiased approach as best we can to at least some ideas. Our Cheeto in Chief, he will bring about change. What type of change, we don't know yet. He's not in there yet. And the way it's going, who knows if he's going to actually get in there the rest of the way.
That's right.
Who knows? Who knows? So I'm going to have that little nugget of hope in my little evil heart that maybe something is going to change for the better in that regard. But in the meantime, let's work with what we've got. So let's try to be better to each other. Stand up against bullying. Let's donate to the good causes out there that are protecting people. And, you know, go ahead and buy from Ink Puddle there and support an independent artist. And buy from ornamental.com as well. Support this independent artist. But, you know, put your money where your mouth is. That always helps. I don't, you know, I protest with my wallet as much as anything. You know, I don't, for instance, any place I find out if they're anti-gay or if they're treating people just wrong, you know, for whatever reason, I stop shopping there, or at least as best I can. I buy or make for my holiday gifts, you know. I usually make for my holiday gifts, or I'll make a little a kit, for instance, for the kids in my family, little something, and that's what I give them for the holidays so they can make for themselves instead of getting pre-made whatever. They learn and grow, and hopefully we can all learn and grow and become a little bit more compassionate and understand that we have different people in this world. I don't know. I don't know what else we can do except be compassionate to each other, buckle down for the shitstorm that's about to hit us in 2017, and ride it out like a wild pony.
I think that's what Tiny Tim said in A Christmas Carol, I think.
Yeah. Ride it out, son bitch.
Let's buckle down for the shitstorm and ride it out.
Well, I don't see us being able to do anything else. You know, you have to work on your local level, do the best you can, take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and stand up to injustice.
Was it Jerry Springer that would end each episode saying, take care of yourself and each other?
It's true. It's
Listen
the truth.
to Jerry Springer. And I think,
well, you know, he had a point.
draw comics, draw cartoons, create something.
Show your dissent through your love, through your compassion, through positivity. Be a positive member in your community. Show people that just because you're black, person of color, a woman, trans, you know, somebody of the LGBTQ community, non-binary, you know, whatever. Show that you're a positive person to your community at large, to the best of your ability. And again, it can be in small ways or large. If the only thing you have to donate is a little bit of money, do it. If you do have some time to donate, do it. There are plenty of places you can donate a little bit of yourself to. This is a real negative and positive time of the year, you know. And I think we all just need to take a break because it is the holiday, so a bunch of people are taking vacations right now and getting together with everybody. Just leave that stuff on the back burner for now. Enjoy the family, enjoy the friends, or enjoy time by yourself. Hug yourself, give yourself some hot cocoa, little Netflixing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some comics from Ink Puddle or some lovely artwork from Ornamental, and just chill this year and buckle down for 2017.
Shitstorm.
And on that, yeah, it's coming, guys. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and end the episode. Thank you, Pat, so much for coming back on and bitching and bullshitting with me.
Support freedom, everybody. Freedom,
Support
freedom,
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 guys.
oi! Freedom, 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 oi!
Woo! All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good holiday. You can find us on the Trade Comics Podcast at gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter. Just search The Trade. You can also find Patrick on there as well, or myself. Look for Melanie Chitwood. And if you need somebody to talk to, if you have any questions, comments for the podcast, positive or negative, go ahead and throw them out there, guys. And check out Patrick's Holidays, his newest Devil and Gandhi book. It'll make everybody smile, and it'll also give everybody something to shout out at.
Yay.
Yay! Give them something different to shout at. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This was episode 47. You can find us on Libsyn for the download, or you can find us on YouTube at The Trade Podcast. So thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.